Om Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः. We were looking at the 10th Vakya in the 4th Brahmana of the first chapter. So the discussion here was about a jnani. Once jnana takes place, the jnani is still perceiving this world of duality. So the Purvapakshi is now claiming Viparita Pratyaya Tat Karyayosta Darshanat. So even the jnani is seeing Viparita Pratyaya means what? Something which is contradictory to the jnanam, correct? Jnanam is everything is Advitiyam, Ekameva Advitiyam, Satyam. This Chaitanya, which is non-dual, which is one and only one, okay, and non-dual, that alone is Satyam, that alone is the reality. The one who has known that Chaitanyam as Brahman, as the limitless, as oneself, that person is still seeing this limited world of duality. So how can we account for that? Okay, because this perception of duality itself is contradictory to the knowledge which that person has gained according to you. So the Purvapakshi is proposing something here interesting. So what he says is, until the time you are seeing duality, we cannot say that this person has jnanam. The implication of this is very much, but that is what. So the Purvapakshi is saying, Antyaha eva atma pratyaha avidya nivartakaha. So you cannot say that this person is a jnani because till the time one sees duality, there is ajnanam. This ignorance has not gone away fully, and knowledge has not destroyed the ignorance still. So the last cognition, just before this person dies, he should have the cognition, Aham Brahmasmi, and then gone. Okay, that alone is the one which removes the ignorance, and afterwards that person will not have any, let us say, births and all that, because all his karma is gone. This is the argument. Now with this argument, the problem is that then there won't be any Guru Shishya Parampara itself. The Upanishad Vakyas will become nirartakaha, because if there is no Guru to teach the Upanishad, also Upanishad itself says Acharyavan Purusho Veda. If you take Chandogya Upanishad, there is a story also. One person goes from Gandhara Desha, he gets lost. So some people tie him, his eyes and all that, they tie him up and throw him into some forest which is dense. He doesn't know the directions. Then one person comes, one Dayalu, compassionate person comes and shows him the way to go to his whatever his village or from wherever he has come. So in that context, the Upanishad also says Acharyavan Purusho Veda, the one who has the Acharya, Guru only knows. Guru is required. Similarly, Mundaka Upanishad also says Tad Vijnaya Sa Gurumeva Abhigachet. So you have to go to a Guru. So now if you say like this, that Guru, Mundaka Upanishad says that Guru is Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. one who is established in this Brahman, one who has clear knowledge, one who himself has learnt from a guru. Okay, Shrotriyam means one who has heard it from his guru so that he knows the methodology to teach. That is very important, understand. Because many people claim that they are jnanis, they know this truth, and they are all well-meaning people. I don't want to say that they don't know and all that. But the problem is, any apne aap, okay, those who are swayambhu, let us say, they say that they knew this by themselves. Somehow they got some intuition or some mystic experience gave them this insight that now they know that everything is one reality. Like this, many people are there. But the problem with all these people is they don't have the methodology to teach. In fact, they confuse more people, I think, because they just make it into some mystic experience. Now, the problem with that is those who follow that person also are just waiting all their life for some mystic experience to happen. And it never happens, I think, mostly. That's why there is no second generation in that. Once that whoever is the founder is gone, I don't think there is anybody else. There are some office bearers and all that who may be running some ashram or facilities and all that, but nobody is there. Then that person himself becomes a cult. They make that person into some kind of Ishvara and all that, and it is going on. There is no teaching anymore because there was no teaching to start with. Mysticism is not teaching, understand that. And Vedanta is not mysticism. Vedanta is to be taught, and there is a teaching methodology. That's what is called Sampradaya. There is a parampara, there is a lineage which starts from Sadashiva himself. That's why we chant Sadashiva Samarambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam and all that in every class. There is a lineage and there is a teaching methodology. In fact, Shankara in one place in Bhagavad Gita Bhashya, he says explicitly Asampradayavit Murkhavat Apekshaniyaha. Those who do not know the methodology to teach, you have to reject them as though they are fools. That's the word Shankara is using in Bhagavad Gita Bhashya. But even what I would say is you can do namaskara to all these so-called jnanis, those who have known it by themselves, but they do not have any methodology to teach you. They are not Shrotriya. Even though we may accept that they are Brahmanishta and all that, you can do namaskara and take inspiration from them. That I have to also reach. If this person without any teaching can become a jnani, then I can at least find a guru and become a jnani, correct? So there is no problem with that. So you can take inspiration, do namaskaram, maybe even get blessings and all that. But that's all you can do, I think. Because you need a guru who himself has learned, himself or herself has learned the Shastra, heard it from the guru, knows the methodology to teach, and who is also committed to this vision, or who has internalized, assimilated the vision and who is established in this knowledge. Okay, so that is very important. Now, from whatever this person, Purva Pakshi, is saying, he is saying that is not possible. Why? Because the guru also is seeing Dvaita, he is seeing his Sishya, he is teaching. Then how can you say he is a jnani? That is the kind of argument here. So for that, Bhashyakara, finally, what does Bhashyakara says? So he says, for us, it does not matter whether it is the first cognition, last cognition, whether the cognition is in a flow or it is not in a flow, whatever it is. Okay. What is Vidya for us is, he says here very clearly, Avidyadi dosha nivritti phala avasanatvat vidyayaha. So for knowledge, for us to consider something as knowledge, it has to remove avidyadi dosha, the defects like avidya and etc. Avidya, adi means avidya, kama, karma, all this, everything else afterwards, samsara, correct? So this jnana has to remove, and that is the result of the jnana. That which has its result, as its result, the removal of ignorance and its effects, okay, that which are all defects, okay, that alone is jnanam for us. We don't care whether it is the first cognition, last cognition, whether you have to keep on having that cognition, recollecting it and have it as a flow. You have to meditate on it, let it be. Or you don't have to meditate on it, also it is fine. So that he says very clearly here, avidyadi dosha nivritti palakrit pratyayaha. So the cognition which results in the removal of avidya and its effects, that cognition, whether it is first, adhyaha, whether it is last, whether it is in a flow, santataha or asantataha, whether it is not in a flow, fine. Whichever way it is, sayeva vidya iti abhibhagamat. That alone is vidya for us, that alone is knowledge. So there is no question of whether it should be first, last and all that. Avidya has to go. But then Bhashyakara still has to address this point, correct? The point is, Viparita Pratyaya tat karyayosa darshanat is a valid point. But whether for a jnani it is really a Viparita Pratyaya or not is what we have to now understand. For an ajnani, Viparita Pratyaya is there, contradict the whatever, from whatever is reality, the ignorant one is not seeing the reality. The ignorant one's perception is erroneous. That we accept. Erroneous perception is there. Viparita Pratyaya can also be taken as erroneous perception. Okay, here. So, the Viparita Pratyaya, erroneous perception, and because of which there is some effect, correct? You wrongly see a snake. Then the effect of that is you have fear, you are ready to run away, you are already sweating, all that is there. So, Viparita Pratyaya, tat karyayosya darshanaditi, na, that is not true for a jnani. Why? Because the jnani's body, which is continuing, the cause for that is the remaining karma. What is remaining means whatever has already started. The karma which has started this body, that has already set in motion. That is already in force. Okay. So the arabdham karma we say, or prarabdham karma, the karma which has started to fructify already and which has resulted in this body, that is going on now. Now, ignorance does not destroy this arabdham karma. It only destroys anarabdham karma, the karma which is yet to begin. That is destroyed by jnanam, by knowledge, because knowledge only destroys ignorance. And ignorance is the cause of all this, whatever, karma, kama, karma, etc. Now, this is like there is a switch, correct? Switch is on, fan is rotating. Now, if you switch off, okay, you go and press the switch. What does it do? It only removes the electricity from flowing. That means it stops the electricity, correct? So, when you switch off something, the electricity is stopped. Similarly, here, jnana only removes ajnana. Understand this is very important to understand. Jnana removes ajnana, no doubt. There also the switch stops the electricity or removes the electricity. But already fan is rotating, correct? The switching off cannot do anything to the rotation of the fan. Somebody should not come and say, hey, see, fan is still rotating, so you have not switched off. Or the electricity is still flowing. If somebody says like that, what will you say? No, I have already switched off. There is no more electricity. This is just whatever already the electricity has passed through, and the force is already, it is in force, correct? The force has already been applied. So there is an inertial force. And that body, if you remember Newton's law and all that, so whatever is already in motion, it will be in motion only unless some other force comes and stops it. Right? Like friction or something. Air has friction. So eventually it will stop. Otherwise, if a body is in motion, it is in motion. In our case also, although the prarabdha karma has started, upabhogena kshayati. So when you are enjoying the results of the karma, it is exhausted. It will get exhausted. The body will also fall. It has to fall. Okay. So tat sesha hetutvat, shesha sthiti hetutvat is very important. So I hope you get the analogy clearly. Knowledge destroys only the ignorance. It does not destroy the results of the ignorance which have already started fructifying. That is the important point we have to understand. The clear analogy is to the switch. Okay, the switching off only cuts the current, the electricity. It does not, the switching off activity does not go and stop a fan which is already running. That has to come to a stop by itself due to whatever friction is there in the air, correct? That already force which is applied will also exhaust. It will go away because it will then dissipate as friction due to whatever atmosphere is there. Okay, the air is there. So Bhashyakara explains that Yena karmana shariram arabdham. So this body has started due to some karma. Okay, by which karma? That karma. What is that karma? That karma itself, viparita pratyaya dosha nimittatvat. That karma itself is because of viparita pratyaya, only because of your ignorance. That you take yourself as a karta bhokta. That is the starting point of everything. You take yourself as a limited doer. You take yourself as an individual confined to a body, and you take yourself as a doer, and you identify yourself with your mind, and you also think you are an enjoyer. So that is the problem. It is all due to viparita pratyaya, only erroneous notions, wrong notions. So this karma itself is a defect born out of wrong notions. And tasya tata bhutasya eva, and that being like that, what? In the sense that it is viparita pratyaya dosha sanyuktasya. That karma itself is connected with all these wrong notions only, correct? It is born out of wrong notions. It is still connected with the wrong notions, and it will have this ability to produce results also similarly. Okay, paladane samarthyam. So it has already started fructifying. It will keep fructifying in the same manner. Already it is born out of wrong notions, and it can also produce wrong notions further, being the effect of wrong notions. And that it has that capability, that samarthya is there to give this viparita pratyaya has to continue, because that karma has already started fructifying, and it can only give you a result which is also in turn can produce erroneous notions, or which is again giving you erroneous perception. At least whether you have that notion or not is different. So this is where again Bhashyakara will point out, perception does not mean ignorance. Every day we see sun rising. In fact, we even say sun rising, correct? But what is the reality? The sun does not rise, correct? The reality is earth is rotating. So here only, when we talk about adhyasa or superimposition or wrong perception, okay, wrong perception can be there. Some wrong perceptions completely vanish. The appearance itself vanishes, like the snake on the rope. The snake on the rope, there are two types of adhyasa there. One is what? Arthadhyasa we say. Arthadhyasa means what? I am superimposing the snake on the rope because of some similarity, and I have not cognized the rope correctly. I know something is there, and that something looks like snake, and then I see snake only there. I'm not seeing rope anymore, correct? So I'm seeing snake. So I have superimposed the snake on the rope. Superimposing the snake on the rope is called arthadhyasa. Artha means you have superimposed one object on the other. There is rope, one object is there. In that you have superimposed snake, another object. Seeing one object as the other object also involves jnanadhyasa. Okay, jnanadhyasa means what? You really think it is snake, correct? Where you should be actually seeing a rope, your knowledge also now is what? You are seeing snake and you think that you are knowing that there is a snake there. I know there is snake. I see snake, I know that there is snake. Two things are there. In every knowledge, always two things are there. Part is, I know part is. And the Advaitin says these two knowledge takes place at the same time because the Sakshi, the witness is there, and witness consciousness makes both these things evident at the same time. I see part, I know part is, correct? In fact, even here, there are a lot of arguments are there. We have already covered this. There is a Vedanta Paribhasha, one text is there. In that we discuss in detail about what is jnanam. So the Nayayika says, part is one cognition, and I know the part is another cognition, for which part is cognition itself is a Vishaya, is a subject or an object of knowledge. Okay? Like that they argue, but the problem in that is it will lead to infinite regress. Okay? So Advaitin does not accept that. We say that the witness consciousness is always available, and at the same time both these things become evident. Okay? I see snake, I know I see the snake. Both are taking place. Now, when you see rope, what happens? Both arthadhyasa and jnanadhyasa are gone. Because now I see rope, I know rope is. And I don't see the snake anymore. And I don't take that object as snake also anymore. Correct? So in this case, both arthadhyasa means superimposing one object on the other, and jnanadhyasa, knowing one thing as the other. Seeing one thing as the other is different from knowing one thing as the other. Two, like that we have to divide. So in the case of rope snake, both are gone. I don't see rope as snake anymore, and I don't know rope as snake anymore. Both are gone. But let us say sunrise is not the same, correct? In sunrise, initially I think sun is actually moving, correct? Sun is rising. That is an appearance. That is because of relative motion. Okay, but I think sun is rising. I see sun rising, and I know sun rising. But I know sun rising is jnanadhyasa. I see sun rising is arthadhyasa. Correct? Because there is no real sun rising there. Sun is as it is, relatively at least, with reference to the earth. Although sun has its own motion, but during sunrise that motion is not significant enough for us to take that into account. But in that case, what happens? Once you have knowledge, the jnanadhyasa is gone. Correct? You don't know anymore that sun is rising, even though you may use the language sunrise, but you know that earth only is rotating, sun is not really rising. Okay? Even though you see sun rising, but you do not know it as sun rising anymore. You know it as earth is rotating. So in some cases, there can be arthadhyasa. You can still see some appearance, but you know that the knowledge wise there is no confusion now, correct? Or even for mirage water also you can say the same thing. First time around mirage water you see, you are fooled. Next time around also you may see it in the same place, because mirage is all some kind of a reflection happening, okay, in desert or desert like areas. So you won't be fooled again the next time. You know that in that place nothing is there anyway. So we have to differentiate between jnanadhyasa and arthadhyasa. So in this case, the arthadhyasa can continue because anyway the jnanam is not a virodhi to arthadhyasa. Jnanam is only virodhi to ajnanam, which will remove the jnanadhyasa, which will remove the wrong notion that this is really sunrise or this is a mirage water. I know that this is a mirage water, that will go away, but you may still see mirage water. Or I know that sun is rising, that is gone, but sunrise can still be perceived. So perception itself is not a problem. That is what Bhashyakara is going to point out here. Let us see that. So he is now saying, this whatever karma which has already started, it will give results, and the results also will be similar to the karma itself, which itself is born out of all these erroneous notions only, correct? So the results of this karma also again will make you see only erroneously. So it has its that capability. Samarthyam iti yavat sharira pataha tavat phala upabhogangataya vipirita pratyam raga idoshancha tavan matram akshipati eva. So he says clearly, till the time the body falls, okay, till the time the body falls, this phala upabhoga angataya. So you have to enjoy the results of the karma which has already started. As part of that, viparita pratyaya, this cognitions, perception will be there, wrong perception. You can't do anything about it. And ragadi doshancha. So because of that, you may think that jnani also has raga, desires, has whatever. All these things are there, born out of ignorance. Tavan matram akshipati, till then, okay, till the time the body has not fallen, till that time only it is going to give all these results. It will be there, this viparita pratyaya, it is projecting, that appearance will be there. And what is the analogy? He is giving mukta ishuvat. Okay, Bhashyakara did not have electric fans, so he is giving the analogy of a arrow which has already left. The arrow which has already left, you can't do anything about it. But the arrows which are in the quiver, they are all destroyed by jnanam. We have to take it like that. The bow itself is destroyed. All the arrows also are gone. But what about the arrow which has already been released? That is gone. That will fall when it hits its target or whatever. Naturally it has to fall, correct? So, mukta ishuvat pravritta phalatvat tad hetukasya karmana. So, this, it is going, it has started giving the results because of the whatever the action which was done already, correct? The cause of that arrow to be released is some action, you have given some force from the bow, and that has already started giving results. It has started moving. So that you can't do anything. It has already left that arrow. Mukta ishuvat, the arrow which is already freed from the bow. Okay, it is gone. So here he explains. That's what tena na tasya nivartika vidya. So therefore, what he says, tasya nivartika vidya na vidya, means the knowledge does not remove or destroy the already started karma which has started giving results. Okay, why kim tarhi? Because further he says, swashreya deva swatma virodhi avidya karyam yad utpitsu tan nirunnadhi So what he is saying is, because he is saying swashraya deva, swa-ashraya, one's own, what do you say, locus, correct? Ashraya means we can say it is a locus or substratum, like that also they translate it, but somehow I don't like the word substratum, or basis we can say. One's own base or locus. Okay. And swatma virodhi avidya karyam. See, swashraya deva means the ashraya of the jnanam. And what is the ashraya of the jnanam? What is the basis, or what, from where does this jnanam rise? Or jnanam, where does this jnanam happen? Means it happens in the knower only, correct? Pramata. So the ashraya of knowledge is the knower, pramata. Okay. Then swatma virodhi. And again this jnanam is opposed to what? It is opposed to avidya. Therefore, it is also opposed to the avidya karya, because if it is going to remove the ignorance, then no more that once the ignorance is gone, its effects also cannot be there anymore, correct? So, being in its ashraya, whatever this avidya karya is there, which is going to come, yad utpitsuhu, or which is going to be born or created, that it will stop this jnanam being in its locus. Here, this pramata means this self only is the locus for both vidya and avidya. Okay, that way also we can say here, either we can take it as the knower in the sense of the consciousness which is manifest in mind, because all knowledge takes place only in mind. Although many people talk about supramental and this and that, those words are all, I think, confusing. Brahman itself is supramental, we accept that. But knowledge is not supramental, understand that. Knowledge has to take place in the mind. Manasa eva anudrashtavyam, Upanishad itself says. Because the ignorance also is in the mind, understand that. The ignorance also, in one way, mind is the karya of ignorance, we can say. But it is manifest in the mind only, through the mind. So ignorance also is removed from the mind because knowledge takes place in the mind. That we have to accept. And both knowledge and ignorance, for both of them, the ashraya is the same consciousness. Understand that, because consciousness is neither a knower nor it is ignorant. In fact, it is lighting up both. That is the beauty. Because consciousness only tells you I know, consciousness only tells I don't know also. So both ignorance and knowledge are made evident only by this consciousness. So it is like, even another analogy is given in the tradition. What? There is sun. Sun is like consciousness, but sun is covered by the cloud. Okay, then you don't see the sun anymore. But even the cloud which is covered by the sun is known to you because of the sun only, correct? Because of sunlight only, we can even see the cloud, even though we don't see the sun. So, like that, this Chaitanya is covered by this ignorance. There is an avarana. You don't know your own reality, your own self. But even that I don't know is also known only because of this Chaitanya. Understand that. Both knowledge and ignorance have as their ashraya this Chaitanya only, this conscious being. The conscious being is conscious by its very nature. It is not doing any activity or anything. It is all the time lighting up, shining only. That is its very nature. That is why it is the seer of sight and all we say, correct? And its seeing never ceases. Okay, drashtuhu drishtehe na viparilopo vidyate. Brihadaranyaka will say later, beautiful. The sight of this seer never ceases because its very nature, it can never change. It is satyam. So this ashraya, being in that ashraya only, its own virodhi, this jnanam, it destroys this avidya and its karya, but only the karya which is yet to come. They are all gone along with the avidya. Tan nirunnadi, anagatatva. So when you say the results of the ignorance, those which have not yet come, that alone it can destroy along with the whatever cause which is the avidya which is there. But atitam hi itarat. But whatever has already gone, whatever has already started yielding its result, it does not touch that which is already gone, which is already giving, which is right now giving results. So atitam itarat, others are all atitam, it has already gone. Okay. Also here only Bhashyakara explains further now. So he now says that yes, this viparita pratyaya can be there. You can't do anything about it because it has already started yielding results. Okay. But just because this appearance of duality is there, you cannot say the jnani is ignorant or anything. That is the fine line we have to draw. As I told you, there can be arthadhyasa, but for a jnani, there is no jnanadhyasa. So that's what he is explaining now. Kincha nacha viparita pratyaha vidyavataha utpadyate. Okay. So even though this, whatever this body is there, so you cannot expect the body to fall just because somebody gained knowledge. And just because the body is there and the person is cognizing duality, you cannot say it is wrong notion or ignorance is there because of just because of the viparita pratyaya. The appearance of duality itself does not imply that there is ignorance for the one who is already known his swarupa, his nature, his reality. So you cannot say he has a wrong cognition really. Okay. Vidyavataha na utpadyate, it doesn't arise. There is no wrong cognition for a jnani. Why? Nirvishayatva. There is no chance of any, there is no vishaya for that ignorance or wrong cognition to happen. Why? Now he is explaining that. Anavadhrita vishaya vishesha swarupam hi samanya matram ashritya viparita pratyaha utpadyamanaha utpadyate. So now here Bhashyakara is explaining how superimposition happens, how wrong knowledge or erroneous knowledge takes place. So he says anavadhrita vishaya vishesha swarupam. Anavadhrita means, avadhrita means you have ascertained something as this. But in the case of wrong cognition, erroneous cognition, you have not ascertained the locus correctly. You know something is there, but you don't know what it is exactly. Correct? Anavadhrita vishaya vishesha means there is a vishaya, there is an object, but it has not been ascertained as having this quality or this is this, like that. That vishesha you have not understood correctly. Okay, its nature, its swarupa, its real form, okay, has not been cognized. And further what? Samanya matram ashritya. And also whatever you are seeing, there is a similarity between that and whatever some other already you have. Samskara is there. You are already afraid of snakes. So all the time you are thinking of snakes. Okay. And then if you see something like snake, what will you take it as? You are not going to take it as rope, correct? You will take it as snake. That is the problem. So there is a similarity. So something similar you then project that. That becomes the Viparita Pratyaya. That is the erroneous cognition. So there is a covering of the real nature of whatever object is there, because of which you do not ascertain it as it is. And then after that, what? You project something similar. And that's how this Viparita Pratyaya, this appearance is born. And because of that, you have wrong cognition also. Correct? Erroneous knowledge. There is an erroneous appearance and there is an erroneous knowledge. Both are there. Yatha Shuktikayam Rajatamiti. Similar to, so here Bhashyakara is giving the example of shell and silver. Not, so you are very attached to money, silver and all that. And you are seeing silver even where there is shell. So this can be another example. Shell silver is giving Shuktikayam Rajatamiti. But same thing, what? Such a Vishaya Vishesha Avadharavataha. So the one who has clearly seen it as shell already, or one who has seen the rope as rope already, for that person you cannot say that he is still seeing snake or anything. Ashesha Viparita Pratyayashayasya Upamardidatvat. So this Vishesha Pratyaya, Viparita Pratyaya Ashayasya. So the locus or the location where this wrong cognition happened, that has now been totally, that wrong cognition has been totally removed, okay, from that location. So you are seeing whatever is there. Already you have seen a rope. Then how can you see it as snake anymore? So na purvavat sambhavati. It cannot be similar to whatever has already happened. The one who has seen the snake and taken the snake as the truth, although there is rope, that person's situation is different. But one who has already seen the rope, for that person also it may still look like snake, but he is not going to be fooled by that anymore. Okay, he knows that it is rope. So for him again, even if he again sees that and it looks like snake, he is not going to take it as a snake. You understand what Bhashyakara is saying? So na purvavat sambhavati shuktikadav samyak pratyaya utpattav punar adarshana. So once you have seen it as shell, and that is samyak pratyaya utpattav, means correct knowledge has been born that this is shell. Then what? Punaha, again you cannot see silver there. Even though it may look like silver, it may be still shining. See, originally, why did you take it as silver? Because it is shining like that. If you go for a walk on the beach, you can see some shells are all shining. Particularly in the morning, you can see that the shine is still not gone. Shine is still there. You may still see the shine, but you are not going to take it anymore as silver because you know that it is shell. Correct? So the jnani's vision or jnani's cognition of the shining shell does not lead to the wrong conclusion that it is a silver. Even though the jnani is still seeing a shining shell, he takes it only as a shell. He cannot take it as silver anymore once he is a jnani. Understand that? Similarly, the world is still appearing, but world has no reality of its own. It's all mithya. It's only an appearance. Even though the world is appearing, the jnani is only seeing Brahman everywhere. Brahman alone is the very existence, correct? The world has no existence of its own. The world is only names and names and names and forms and forms and forms, names in names, names in names, namni namani. And all that names, he is seeing that very clearly. So the one who is seeing that clearly, for that person, there is no viparita pratyaya. Although the world appears, but jnani is not taking that appearance as reality anymore. There is no jnanadhyasa. Is that clear? That is the very important point Bhashyakara is making here. So punaha adarshana, again, the jnani can never see the world as world again. That is jnanam really, in fact. correct? The pawnbroker does not see your jewelry or what design it is and all that. Pawnbroker only sees gold. You who is gone to pawn that to the pawn shop, you have gone to take some loan. You are seeing all the nice designs. For you, it is all emotionally you are attached to that. But Jnani, pawnbroker, only sees gold. For him, the name and form, whether it is a chain, bangle, nothing matters, correct? Similarly, the world may appear, but the Jnani is not seeing the world as world. There is wherever the world is, in fact, there Ishvara is, there Brahman is, correct? It is like there is already I quoted, correct? I think last time also I quoted, there's a beautiful Tamil Tirumandiram like that. Tirumular was a great Siddha in the Tamil tradition. So, he is also a Nayanmar, we say. 63 Shaivite saints are there in Tamil Nadu. One of them is this Tirumular. He was supposed to be a great yogi. He wrote a book called Tirumandiram. So in that he says, Marattai Maraitadu Mamadayane. So the great ferocious elephant covered the wood. Actually, it is a wooden sculpture, correct? But if you look at it as a ferocious elephant, that very sight or knowledge or cognition of elephant covers the fact that it is really wood. You are only seeing elephant where there is wood. Is that clear? Then your whole reaction for that is different. You are ready to start running. You don't want to be attacked by a mad elephant. But for a Jnani need not break down that elephant sculpture to know that it is wood, correct? The one who has known it as wood. See, this is the difference between a yogi and a Jnani. Yogi says, break that wood, break the elephant sculpture, then only you can see the wood. Or stop all the waves, then only I can see it as water. That's not the point, correct? Of course, the waves may have some froth and all that. So maybe you require a little bit of calming down and all that to actually see it as water. Once you have seen it as water, you don't have to say that you have to stop the waves, then only and make it still, then only I can see water. Hey, wave is water. You don't have to stop the waves to see it as water. Every cognition, its content is only consciousness. Previously, you are not, in fact, you are taking it for granted. You were leaving out the obvious thing and focusing on the object of consciousness. But even object, subject, everything is nothing but the content of each and every cognition, whether it is object or subject, everything is consciousness alone. Each and every cognition, pratibodha viditam matam. That's what Upanishad says. In each and every cognition, what is revealed or what is becoming evident is that consciousness alone. Once you are appreciating that invariable in every cognition, how does it matter? You don't have to stop all. Chitta vritti nirodha is not accepted as a moksha sadhana. Bhashyakara already said in 147. Okay. So, yoga is accepted as a sadhana. We are not against yoga or anything. Understand that. Yoga sadhana is important for this jnanam. Even when you are doing Shravana Mananam, Vididhyasana we have. Vididhyasana, there is a Dhyana Yoga involved in that. Because we also accept that the Viparita Bhavana is so strong. It is Balavat. Bhashyakar also accepts that. The karma which has started this body and already the individual identity is so strong. It requires effort to come out of that wrong perception. So insights have to be repeated. Even Aham Brahmasmi iti Jnanam has to be repeated again and again till Aham Brahmasmi becomes natural, correct? Today, how naturally someone, you go to the road and ask, who are you? They are saying, I am so and so. They are not all the time doing japa. Aham Venkata Subramaniam, Aham Venkata Subramaniam, Aham Venkata Subramaniam. Nobody is doing that, correct? Or Aham Manushyaha, Aham Manushyaha, Aham Manushyaha. You don't have to do any japa. That is called sahaja. What is the sahaja sthiti? What is your natural state? I am an individual, I am so and so, I am a human being. These things, these identities are there. Because you don't have to do any dhyanam, nididhyasanam and all that, correct? That identity is naturally there. But that has to be replaced with Aham Brahmasmi. So there is a effort involved. Yoga sadhana has its place there. Nobody is denying that. But we do not say that you have to stop all the thought. Mind itself is nothing but consciousness only. Mind has no existence of its own. It's mithya. Seeing the mind as mithya, you don't have to stop all mental activity to know that mind is mithya or mind is only consciousness. You don't have to stop all the waves to know that a wave is a water, ocean also is water. You don't have to stop anything. It's a question of knowing it clearly. And clarity can take some time. We are practical about that. So Ashtanga Yoga as a sadhana, and which leads to assimilation of this knowledge, is accepted. But Chitta Vritti Nirodha itself is not accepted, or even whether that is desirable or not, that's up to the individual, I think. Even a jnani can still do whatever yoga sadhana and attain whatever samadhi, which are all talked about in the Yoga Sutra. But that is again left to the individual. Each and every, rather than sitting and eating and teaching, but I still think teaching Vedanta is a better option than sitting something like this, correct? Like a vegetable. Because there is a romantic idea that one who is always in samadhi is somebody great. Then what about Adi Shankara? He is supposed to have gone all over the place. He has written all this Bhashya which we are studying. Is he not a great Brahmavit? Only one who is always sitting in some samadhi is a Brahmavit or what? Our greatest Brahma. They also make some gradations and all that in this. Anyway, my Guruji was okay, he did not approve of all these gradations. Jnani means jnani. There is no gradation in jnanam. You know who you are. And then there is a contentment. Moksha is the same for everybody. Whether you are a teaching jnani or whether you are like sitting in samadhi jnani, it doesn't make any difference. But whether you want to teach or whether you want to be all the time in samadhi and all is again your own nature. Okay. Maybe you are already a yogi who attained jnanam, but still you want to continue doing yoga. That is fine. That is the individual's pravritti, whatever. That is part of the prarabdha karma we have to take. Understand that. So anyway, so there is no, for a jnani, there is no wrong, even though there is appearance, but there is no, you cannot take it as a wrong cognition or wrong knowledge or anything. There is no jnana dhyasa. But some people say that, Bhashyakara opposes that. See, he says, Kvachittu vidyayaha purvotpanna viparita pratyaya janita samskarebhyaha viparita pratyaya avabhasaha smritayaha jayamanaha viparita pratyaya bhrantim akasmat kurvanti. So some people say what? They say even in this life itself, before you gain knowledge, correct? So vidyayaha purvotpanna viparita pratyaya janita samskarebhya. There are impressions born out of these wrong cognitions are there. Even before this knowledge takes place. Viparita pratyaya, viparita bhavana is there, and there are samskaras of that are there, impressions are there. Okay, because of which what viparita pratyaya avabhasaha smritayaha jayamana. So all this, even if you are closing your eyes and shutting your whatever, mind is still active, correct? Mind is still showing you all this. From a smriti rupa also, still mind can show you all kinds of appearances, viparita pratyaya. It is there. Pritayaha, from the impressions which are already there before you gain the knowledge, these things are born, they are there. And Jnani also viparita pratyaya bhrantim akasmat kurvanti, like that they say. So for the Jnani also there is a bhranti is there, erroneous knowledge is there, delusion is there. Okay, so like that, like the one who is confused by Digvibhagasyapi akasmat digviparyayo vibramaha, like this they give an example also. Yatha. So Bhashikara doesn't accept this. Okay. So Vijnata Digvibhagasya means, Digvibhaga means there is a instrument which shows directions. We can take it as a compass. So even in Bhashikara's time, some kind of a compass has been there. I don't know whether it is the same compass. Of course, the magnetic north has always been there, and magnets are also known. So they may have had some compass. Okay. So even though you know the direction, still you can have some confusion about the direction he is saying. Okay, like that. Even though you have jnanam, because of the previous impressions, someone can see. Okay, akasmat means just like that, without any reason. Because of those impressions which are there, they can suddenly have all this bhranti, delusion, like that some people say. But Bhashyakara says, if that is so, then all this knowledge and all will become useless. He says, Samyak jnanavataha api chet purvavid viparita pratyaya utpadyate. So if you say, even for the one who has gained clear knowledge, like before he is still seeing, erroneous cognition is there for that person also who has clear knowledge, proper knowledge. Then what? Samyak jnane api avisrambhat shastrartra vijnanadau pravritti asamanjasasya. So then what? There will not be any shraddha about this knowledge, then giving you the results. Again, if you are still seeing erroneously and then suffering and all that, then you will not have the jnana phalam at all, correct? The results of the knowledge will become questionable, then there won't be any, there will be doubts regarding that, there won't be any shraddha. Therefore, going for or pursuing this knowledge by reading the Shastra and all will become useless. It doesn't make any sense anymore. And also what? Sarvancha pramanam, apramanam, sampadyeta. So the Shastra, all the whatever Veda, whatever it is revealing, it will no more be pramana. It will not be a valid means of knowledge anymore. It will become invalid. Because even after knowing this thing from the Veda, you are still seeing only erroneously. If you are still having erroneous cognition, then what is the use of the Veda as a means of knowledge? So Veda will become apramana. And why? Because pramana apramana yoho vishesha anubhatehe. Whether you have the knowledge from the pramana or you don't have that knowledge, it doesn't make any difference if you say. Correct? Even for a jnani, still the jnani is seeing like before. If you say like an ajnani, then there is no difference between the two, correct? Whether you have had a pramana, vyapara and jnanam, that the operations of the whatever the means of knowledge which has operated has to result in something, correct? But if that result itself is denied, then what is the use of operating that means of knowledge? You need not do all this pursuit. It's all a waste. So we cannot accept that. So Bhashyakara finally summarizes. He says, Etena samyak jnanantaram eva sharirapata abhavaha kasmad ityetat parihritam. So he says, now I have given you the parihara or whatever explanation here, that after clear knowledge, proper knowledge, immediately this body need not fall. Okay, knowledge need not result in the fall of this body. Just because knowledge destroys. Karma is said in the Veda, but there we have to understand that we have to make a difference between arabdham and anarabdham karma. Okay, so anarabdham karma alone is gone because its cause, its very cause, the ignorance is gone. But arabdham karma, this knowledge is not opposed to already fructifying karma, so that will continue, and because of that the body will continue. So the body need not vanish, because there are seriously some people even now believe that jnani means they have to just vanish. There are even stories like that. Many saints, they just went into some garbhagriha, they went into the sanctum sanctorum of a temple and vanished. They are the true jnanis. They did not leave behind any body or anything. Those stories may be there, they may be even true, but that is not a criteria. Okay, so we have to understand that that's not a criteria to decide whether somebody has knowledge or not. That cannot be a criteria, because Veda itself says tasya tavadeva chiram and all that. So in fact, Bhashyakara then gives he says jnanotpattehe prak urdhvam tat kala janmantara sanchitanam cha karmanam apravritta phalanam vinashaha siddhaha bhavati palaprapti vigna nisheda shrutehe eva. So what he says is jnana phala is again shown only by the Shruti. Jnanam itself is given by the Veda. The knowledge we are gaining is from the Veda. And what is the result of that knowledge also? Veda only says. And from the Veda Vakya only it is clear that whatever karma which is there before the jnana happened, okay, and whatever karma which is there, accumulated karma also is there for due to so many janma, okay, we have taken all that. But all the karma which has not yet started fructifying, their vinasha happens. Okay, that is established by the Brihadaranyaka Shruti itself and all so many other Shrutis. And so we have to go along in this case, because the knowledge also is coming from the Veda. The result of that knowledge also we have to take from the Veda itself, whatever it is revealing. And it is established by the Shruti itself clearly. And then he is going to give quotations for that. We will look into that next week. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you, Guruji.